As you already know, man, we dive into all kinds of situations and scenarios, man, coming from an ex-con turning into men. So Toko got some really interesting topic that's close to his heart, man, that we're going to discuss, man. I think it's very important too, man, as women, that we look into this issue and the importance of how this could affect not only us, but our children as well.
What was that?
Well, the topic that you wanted to do.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I'm letting you explain it.
So we're gonna
Our
go
first
ahead.
blooper, guys.
Yeah. Welcome to our channel. We don't give
Welcome to our channel. We're very do. Look,
Yeah,
I'm a 2-year veteran.
It's all about hitting the licks and getting your fuck on. That's what we're talking about on this channel. There's one for the blooper reel.
I'm gonna leave that in too. I'm not editing nothing out. I'm not editing nothing out. This is the true colors of Toko, right, guys? Now, everybody. Now, Toko's a good guy. Okay, so this is what we're gonna be discussing, man. We're gonna be discussing about heinous crimes that are done against women and children, and how society is okay with them. The prime example of this is, well, look what happened with Cain Velasquez. This dude basically got OR bail, and we already know that he did some devious type of behavior towards young children, man. You know what I'm saying? Like things that are unthinkable, that are just, you know what I'm saying, not acceptable. And then this man can't even get bail. You know, and this is how messed up our society is and how messed up Santa Clara County District Attorney and the judge is, right? I'm calling him out on this stuff, man. Because look, that man was in a very difficult state that any man probably could potentially snap. Some people talk about doing things like that if it happens, but this dude was being about it, okay? So that's an instant reaction. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when you get hit with reality of something that's done so horrid to your child that you react, okay? Now this man, instead, this judge and district attorney, man, are straight scum. I'm gonna keep it 100 because that they have a what do you call a child predator out. This man needs to be with his kid, to comfort his child during a time of need, to take that child to therapy, to know that his dad's going to be there to the best of his ability to protect him. Let him fight this court case out there on the streets. Let him be afforded bail like everybody has always been afforded throughout history. He's not at risk to run. He's very famous. Anywhere he goes, he's going to be noticed. Yeah, I get it. You know what I'm saying? He took action, and whatever consequences come for his actions come from his actions. But at the same token, this is just how, you know, hypocritical the system is, that you'll protect someone that touches that touches a child, but you won't even let the man out that just had an instant reaction to it.
Yeah, you know, this subject is near and dear to my heart because of my situation. Similar, you know, but it had nothing to do with children, but it had to do everything with a woman, you know, obviously, and crimes of a heinous nature. And I just don't see how the laws or how it's justified that his emotions, his reactions aren't taken into account, you know. And this man not only had an incident with Cain's relative or child, as we found out later on, but he's been arrested for this and charged with this before. This isn't his first time at the rodeo, and you grant a guy like this bail. Now, to me, how is that not a threat to society? The judge, the district attorney, maybe I'm not understanding the law because I'm trying to be as diplomatic as I can here on this channel. Maybe I'm not seeing something, but to me, it just doesn't make any sense how they don't see or view this person being charged with these heinous crimes against children who are vulnerable, who can't defend themselves, and who are too trusting, because what are we taught in this society? Kids are the beginning of the innocence. They're carefree because we're responsible for them. How can you put somebody like this, who's violated that, now we know multiple times, accused of it, okay, allegedly, you know, but grant this guy a low bail, protect him, you know, threaten anybody that threatens him. It just doesn't make any sense. And I understand the laws of the land. You can't go to vigilantism, and you can't go and defamate on somebody's character. But at the same time, you know, why is a guy that gets into a fight at a bar or sells some drugs on the corner, why does he look at life and no bail and considered a flight risk when nobody was hurt, you know, or two grown men are getting into a fight? regardless if it is gang related or not. You know, everything gets set, the bar gets set high. These things flood the media and social media and the law, and everything always goes back to the same old BS. It's all about the guns. Well, in my opinion, you know, guns don't kill. It's the people that pick up the guns and use them. You know, guns have been around since before I was born, generations and generations. The damn country was built on war, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's necessary, you know what I mean? And I understand that, but that's not for me to decide or for us to debate. That's something that goes beyond my generation, the generation before, and my parents' generation. Like I said, this is what the country was built on. But somehow or another, these heinous crimes, they make the news, they get a 5-minute blurb. You don't hear nothing about it until the trial starts again. You know what I mean? But other crimes, fights, gangs, or drugs, or even stuff that goes on with the border, just floods you to where you want to change the channel. But the subjects that we need to hear, the safety and security of our children, you know, and what country are we living in? We're living in America, so regardless of your color, American children, putting them at risk and giving this guy bail and not giving it to Cain. And regardless of how you feel about Cain, or if you have a relative that's been charged with things like this, like I said, I'm trying to be diplomatic all the way. Every situation is different. But when you do the research and investigation, which these guys all got degrees in and what their titles are, you know, I'd like to know what the hell the district attorneys have investigators. The guys that we see that do the press conferences are just mouthpieces. But the actual one who's assigned to the case has a guy like myself, a Flacco, a Rojo, or a Gunner. He has a team. You go out and you investigate the crime scene, you talk to witnesses, you do everything, and then you come back and bring your findings to the DA. So he's like, hey, what do I got? I got a press conference. I got to bring this to my boss to see if we're going to charge this guy or give him bail, you know? And they can completely override that, and so can a judge. I've had experience with that.
Judges have discretion.
Exactly. You know, you could be looking at your third strike, but something that the judge sees or whatever is like, no, you know, he won't believe he could change, and he's got a mountain of stuff to do.
You call that setting president. You call that setting the president,
right? Yeah, exactly. So,
you know what I'm saying?
So you know what I mean? Yeah, this is something that's frustrating and it's passionate, and Flacco and I feel the same about it.
I got something to add to this, man. Okay, so you know, I'm not saying that this scenario is wrong. This scenario is totally wrong. What happened, right?
Right.
But the media frenzy will have so much support for an individual like George Floyd or Breonna Taylor, right? You know what I'm saying? Because of their skin color, right? And because that's a popular subject nowadays. Look, I'm all for black rights. I'm all for human rights and so forth. I'm all for like black rights. Okay. George Floyd didn't deserve it. Breonna Taylor's a little questionable situation. She was in a bad situation, in a bad place, at a bad time. But you see how the media frenzy will attach themselves to things like that the radical liberals want to support. You know what I'm saying? That's the common theme nowadays in society. But when it comes to anybody else, child predators, they don't want to touch the subject. It just makes no sense. And I'm not saying that, look, what happened to George Floyd was wrong. You know what I mean? Period. What happened to Breonna Taylor it's questionable, but shouldn't have happened, I feel. But what I'm getting at is issues that need attention from the public, right, do not get the attention because, you know, what ends up happening is it doesn't fit the narrative that they want to push politically. That is the problem in today's society, is doing the right thing. And it could be crimes against women. Crimes against women only occur when it's someone that's from another political party that's being put in position for office. Then you hear about crimes against women. But before that, no one really gives a damn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's almost like we need things like okay, cases with women I'm always skeptical of, but it doesn't mean that they don't exist as well. I have to do my research and investigation, my due diligence to sit there and look at all case factors to make sure that there's no lies, there's no fabrication and whatnot, because that has occurred to people. But children's a little bit different, man. Children don't usually lie unless you could really usually analyze and see if they've been coached. Now, as far as women should not be victimized either. You know what I'm saying? In any form or fashion. There's a lot of men out there that prey upon women. They prey upon their weaknesses that they can exploit. And they take advantage of that situation. Men like that touch either kids or do violate women, I have a 1-strike rule. You're fucking out. I mean, you don't even have to kill him as far as a predator. I think you deserve to be put to death. Any type of crime against a kid or a woman, period, like that. You know what I'm saying? Where you violate them in a physical way. And you know what I mean by physical. I'm not talking about physical like that. I'm like one strike. And I never could understand it, man. Like, there's a thing that happened in 2004. I'm going to bring this up, right? Okay, you guys remember the government recall? Okay.
Yeah.
Governor, I think it was, who was it, Davis at the time?
Ray Davis.
And Schwarzenegger had acknowledged that he was not going to give in to the California Peace Officers Association, which is one of the strongest unions, but they're not as impactful as they were back then. Okay. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I lost respect for Schwarzenegger, man. He's a coward, he's a fucking liar, and he fucking gave it to the union, period. He's a piece of shit for this, okay? He got on 3 days before elections because the third strike law was going up for debate. And he said that, this is what he said. This three strike law will release murderers, rapists, and child molesters. That's not even the case factor. 99% of the people don't even fall in that category. Back then, you do a murder, you're doing 25 to life. Okay? Second of all, you guys are the motherfuckers that are sitting there catering to these fucking rapists where they get like 2-4 years for fucking touching a child. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if you do a fucking residential burglary, motherfuckers getting 6-8 years. So he got up there fucking in front of the public, in front of cameras, because he was getting support to get voted in as governor, and fucking lied. He lied in front of the camera, bro, because if you're a convict, you know this for a fact. Okay, one, you catch murders, you're getting 25 to life. You have to go in front of a board to get released. It's not going to release no murderers. Okay, because if anybody gets sentenced, maybe a manslaughter charge or whatnot, but usually you're going to carry some time and you paid your debt to society, period. Okay. Molesters, they didn't even have that as a strike law at first, believe it or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now it does. Okay. But the majority of those that were going to be released, right, under the 3 strike law were individuals that were either for maybe robberies, residential burglaries, maybe assault when they were younger, you know, little things that we did. You know what I'm saying? And when I looked at that, I was like, man, if you touch a child or a woman that way, I'm on 1 strike rule. You should be fucking out from there.
Yeah.
That's a whole different category. You know what I'm saying? So like, I seen what this system's about, man. They utilize certain things to try to push other laws to get people incarcerated because it's a money-making scheme. You know what I'm saying? And it's almost like they make more money, you know what I'm saying, releasing these particular individuals out there to the streets because now they got the high control parole, now they got all these restrictions and all these conditions and so forth. You know, I don't get it either, man, because I'll let you talk for a little bit, but I got a scenario where I encountered this situation, bro. Okay, I encountered a motherfucker's, you know what I'm saying, with some devious shit on a fucking laptop, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'll let you talk for a little bit, though. I start getting rambling on, get pumped up and shit and want to fucking tear off these 2 heads and shit, man.
You know, it was something that I ran into when I was living that other life that we were living. There was a lot of individuals. You'd be surprised, you know, that have priors for doing stuff. And my point in saying that is people slip through the cracks all the time. I get that. You know what I mean? But, you know, who, what, when, where, and why is the question. Is that it seems there's got to be a balance, right? There's got to be a balance with the laws. One case can't be too looked at than the other. But like I said, just these, I'll go back to it, man. Everything you see, law-wise, media-wise, anything that has to do with crimes against women or kids of a deviant nature, it gets swept under the rug, you know, and they don't want to talk about it. I don't know, because it's not sexy, it's not news media worthy, it makes people cringe. Well, I got news for you. That's the real world. It goes on every day. You know, I wrote down a statistic last night, but I forget, I don't know what happened to it, where I put it, about what goes on in this country every 30 seconds, you know, those surveys that they do. And the women and children, man, is like in the top 3 for, as we're speaking right now, somebody's getting either, you know, attacked, assaulted, violated, kidnapped, whatever.
Yeah, but I wonder how much that is being like kind of like.
So if it's accurate, if it's yearly, you know, or if they're going
I wonder how much of that is fucking like, we're from the old school, man. Our parents were fucking like, yeah, You know what I'm saying? On our fucking ass. Nowadays, they consider that fucking. You know what's funny is they'll arrest a parent for fucking spanking a kid. You know what I mean? But they'll let these motherfuckers out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You know,
you know,
my experience with this was, obviously, with a loved one, and for what I did, I was looking at all day. They were willing to throw the book at me, and they were trying to do all these things, validation, and getting people to do this and that. This other individual who was in the wheelchair, until the DNA evidence came out, I mean, it was a hook, line, and sinker. You know what I mean? There was nothing. There was nothing. There was no question in the mind, and it was a heinous crime. There was nothing consensual or mistaken or her word against his at all. The proof was in the pudding, and guy didn't even get life. 33 and a half years is what that was when it was all said and done. And it blew my mind. I mean, obviously I only did 10, and that was just because of good research and investigation on my lawyer's behalf, and when all the truth finally had come out. But still, if that wouldn't have happened, I'd be doing life. You know what I mean? The time that I got and what he would have gotten just didn't make sense to anybody. And they were talking about that at the time, but it's just it's just something that, it needs to be looked at. A politician or somebody that's getting in the office, these lawmakers need to reassess, and they need to look at, and they need to start listening to these nonprofit groups, these women's groups, these crimes against, I mean, there's a group and there's an organization for everything. And I just think, I'm going to look at it some more myself to see, because I'd like my voice to be heard when it comes to this. Everybody's got a passion. And for me, you don't take advantage of the weak and the helpless and the trusting. You know what I mean? You don't take something that's a simple process of dating a woman, getting her to be vulnerable with you because she thinks that you care about her, and then you turn around with your devil's horns and tail, man. You completely you get demonic, and you turn her life upside down. You don't get to do that and just get 2 years in a protective custody, eating ice cream all day, getting the best job. And it's like, to me, when they go in there, and we'll talk about, and I'm just going to touch on that just a little bit. You hear all the grumblings when you're in there. These dudes get the best treatment. They get the best food. They get the jobs. They get everything they want. They leave it alone. Why? Because people of a deviant nature know how to play the system. They're not about that action. Man, my bad, man. I got to.
Okay, now we're going to start right now, okay? So I'm going to go. See, this is what this is what we as men, as adults, and so forth are out there to protect. Right here. Say hi. Say hi. Hi. This is what we protect: innocence. You know what I'm saying?
That's the little Flacco's Chilla Chunky right there, in the flesh.
A little chunky, huh? So yeah, man. It's interesting how they just don't really, get it or even care sometimes, man. Like, it's all about what's in, like you said, what fits the narrative, what's in style, what's in sync. I mean, you got some weird stuff going on in this country that people are trying to justify people having feelings like that. You know what I'm saying? Like this 27 gender shit and fucking feelings and stuff. It sickens me, man.
Yeah. California is California, bro. You know what I mean?
California is weird, man. Like they accept stuff like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but yet everybody wants to migrate there.
Because
it's got the best weather, but it's more expensive. But yet, I mean, I haven't lived there in years. You know what I mean? Where I'm at now is completely different, but it's kind of one and the same. There's a lot of people from California, but it's still an attractive place to be. You're going to pay high taxes. What they're trying to do is gentrify it completely. You know what I mean? That's everything that they're pointing to. They're trying to let the tech take over. And I understand that you got to roll with the punches, but I'm telling you right now, it's just going to, it's going to be overcrowded. It's going to be the same thing. I'm not saying nothing anybody that doesn't live there, that hasn't been there for 30, 40 years knows already. But, all that, the underbelly is what we're talking about. The crimes against the laws need to change. There's just, you know, these things of a deviant nature. Yeah, you know, I mean, like I said, everything is flat. Everybody has to have a passion. This just happens to be mine and Flacco's. We both have serious dealings with this in the lives that we used to lead, and it was a catch-22 because it all, you know, at the end of the day, that got swept under the rug as well. So, like I said, and what Flacco just said, whatever fits the narrative. It's all about
whatever fits the narrative.
It's all about money. Whether it's happening in the underworld and whether it's happening in the big world. What's going to be cost effective and what's going to bring in the revenue. That's what they're worried about in the end. And if they could sweep that under the rug, Cain's situation, you know, like I said, he just was denied bail a second time, right? A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it's the same thing.
Nobody's there's. I mean, there's no support. There's no really movements. There's no strong impact. There's no. It's a lost cause already, man. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, man, that same energy needs to be put into issues that really, really matter, man. When it comes to scenarios like this, man, I don't get it, man. The man acted out of, you know, in the heat of the moment. Instant reaction that a lot of people would react. You know what I'm saying? He was just about that action. You got to respect it, man. Because there's a lot of people that talk that going, oh, if this happened to my kid, I'm going to go out there and do this and do that. You know, or if this happens to my wife or my lady, I'm going to go do this and do that. But a lot of people don't take that action, man. You took that action. Cain took that action. You know what I'm saying?
And I paid a heavy price.
And you paid a huge debt acting out of the honor and respect of your, you know what I'm saying, partner. You know what I'm saying? There should be also special circumstances where if you act in the heat of the moment and it's proven that the person actually did commit that crime, that you have a less sentence than what would normally be put out there, regardless of your record. You know what I'm saying? Because, see, I'm a firm believer of this, okay? You get sentenced in accordance to the crime that you commit. There shouldn't be no special circumstances or factors in any crime. You know what I'm saying? Because when you do
didn't they just change that law where, you know, the 3 strikes law now, at least in California, I remember when I was in there, people were telling me, you gotta have, if you have 3 consecutive violence, then they could life top you out with life, right?
You know what though, man? It's still, I think you still get sentenced in accordance to the crime, because now you're differentiating between individuals, because each crime may be different. Sometimes they focus in one direction on the person because of his past. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be a simple, like, nothing that's even serious compared to how he reacted in the past. And it could be a justified action as well. But because of their past history, they try to spin the narrative. Everything is always about spinning the narrative, man. Everything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I know one individual, they went to prison like in the 70s, right? Never went back. And then in the 90s, they were working for someone. The dude didn't pay him his money. So as a man, he naturally went down there and confronted the dude. And of course, it got physical. Next thing you know, he was looking at a 3rd strike. But hadn't been arrested for over 20-something years. Right. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, like I said, man, with certain crimes, man, it should be one and done. Because if you start setting the standard that it's a wrap for you, people aren't going to commit these crimes. That's what I don't get. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to get this much time for doing these type of deviant behaviors, you know what I mean? A person's going to think twice. You know what I'm saying? Or if you put them in a situation to where they could be serious targets and dealt with, they're going to think twice. When you protect them and care to them and give them minimal sentences, they're only going to repeat, because the consequences aren't there. You know what I'm saying? There's it's going to take I mean, these individuals are sick in the head as it is, right? But it's going to take a very, very sick individual to know what consequences and repercussions are coming their way to continue to still do that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, the very thing you're talking about that needed to be done, it was done, if you remember, about 25, 30 years ago. Richard Allen Davis. They took that seriously. Because of him, the 3 strikes law was implemented.
Yeah, but
you also had a different regime.
It didn't affect anybody that committed those type of crimes. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
You had Pistol Pete Wilson backing it, though. You remember what kind of governor he was when we were a kid. You know what I mean?
They were all,
lock them up, build the prisons, and close the border, and enough is enough. He was a badass, but nevertheless, Paulie Class still was killed. That
law was also patterned after our current president too, believe it or not, man. People don't realize that, man. Like the habitual offender law, which actually was destructive in the minority communities, especially in the African American communities, locking up people for like crack cocaine. You know, there was at that time they had different categories to where you could have a 1/4 ounce of crack cocaine and get more time than I think about what a a pound of cocaine. They had laws that kind of differentiated because, you know, the regular powder cocaine was more of a like what at that time it was more like, you know, Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? Rich people were getting it. Crack cocaine was for the lower tier individuals that they considered in the urban communities.
Yeah.
It was the lowest of the low. They were giving people more time for that than if they had the powder. You know what I'm saying? That the system is always created to try to, you know, pinpoint certain individuals they want to attack. Now that they're attacking people less and less. You know what I mean? The crimes people should be sentenced to, they're not sentencing them to it. You know what I mean? It's kind of just it's the reversal. You know.
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong, okay? I'm all about this. You need rules of conduct in a society. Those are what you call laws. Therefore, you have to have some type of accountability if these are the consequences for your actions, right? But the same token, you can't start to put special circumstances based upon individuals because basically what you're doing is you're putting stereotypes on people. You're telling a person that he has no right to pay his debt to society because he's still going to be held accountable for other actions if he does anything else. You know what I'm saying? It's not, there's no equality there. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, as much as this country can give you success and progress, you still have to jump through loops. You know what I'm saying? You have to jump through them hoops. You had to do it just to get your supervisor position. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's kind of set up, man, for different circumstances and whatnot, man. You know, and it's almost like a lot of these type of crimes were being committed by certain individuals that in some people's eyes, they felt that they were still redeemable, if that makes sense.
Why are they any more redeemable than you and me?
I don't understand it though, because
you know what I mean? Why are they any more redeemable than you and I?
They're not.
Why is a life like that?
One time they should be around.
Who has a deviant nature, who's considered a sickness, and they'll go out of their way. Why is that even more redeemable than you and I? Why aren't we afforded those same luxuries? Why aren't those same considerations? Because we didn't do it. I mean, you know,
I agree with you 100%.
Committed property crimes against grown men and stuff like that. Like I said, this law system and these lawmakers and everybody else, they pride themselves on, you know, the knowledge they have of organized crime in the way that we know the way these guys are. And if you know the way that we are, what we do is behind our twisted sense of honor, but we're not exploiting kids and we're not out there committing heinous crimes against women. Yeah, in some of the new OC that's going on in this world, trafficking drugs and trafficking little boys and girls and women now for sex trafficking, call the kettle black. It's happening, you know. But if you research an investigation, that doesn't pertain to the whole underworld. It doesn't pertain to everybody. You know what I mean? But you still get treated that way. You get treated worse.
Money talks, bro. Money talks in society, bro. And that's the main injustice is that right there is that, look, why can't I get bail because I don't have a fucking $1 million? I mean, why can't I get a top-notch lawyer because I don't have fucking money like that? You know what I'm saying? So there is no equality. The system isn't equal. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody told me in law enforcement when I was going through the things that I was going for, and you know, and his or her opinion made a lot of sense when it came to these heinous crimes. So the reason why a lot of it, from what they see, now this is them working as law enforcement, a detective working these type of crimes, is because during a lot of the investigations, who does all this stuff get tied back to? People of power, judges, lawyers, doctors, police officers, government officials, government defectors. They all run these rings, but that's why investigations only go so far. That's, you know, and that was his or her opinion on why the balance doesn't fit the narrative when it comes to bringing this type of stuff up and changing these laws, because a lot of it has to do, you know, like I said, this is all hearsay. It's all speculation. It's a private conversation, but I tend to take more stock if somebody who's working in the system and part of the law enforcement or part of the judicial system that's telling me something like this and giving me their educated opinion on what they see in the actions that are taken. I'm more adept to believe that, you know, and it just makes me raise my eyebrow even more, where everything else, all these pieces to the puzzle that Flacco and I are trying to debate and put together, it all falls back to they have the last pieces to complete the puzzle, you know,
You know,
and they get thrown away or they get misplaced, and they get, and that when what happens, that game gets put back on the shelf, and here we go again, stacking it, and then, you know, let's talk about something else, you know, because it involves too many people of power.
I think this is one that we're gonna have to probably do a part 2 and part 3, and I want to get some guests up on this subject, man.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. I want to get a little bit difference of opinions and stuff like that, man. Especially someone who maybe has suffered through these type of heinous crimes. If you're open to talking about this on a public platform and about what you went through and what you think the person deserved, or you know what I mean, anything like that, man, hit us up, man. Hit us up on IG. Hit us up. Put a comment, man. We'll reach out to you. I think this is a good topic that we need to keep on pressing and talk about even some more. Right. I mean, because this is what we're trying to protect right here.
That's
you know
it.
What I mean? You know, and our women and our children. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you touch any of my kids or my woman in that fashion, I'm catching
there will be no fashion. That'll be your last fashion.
I'm catching a life sentence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The last one to try to do that, I had him hit on a yard. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to end good. You know what I mean?
No, it never does. But, you know, it's, you know, people, we're not, violence doesn't endorse anything. Flocko and I are both examples of that. Taking the law in our own hands behind our loved ones, you're still going to pay a price. So
yeah,
anybody thinking out there that
we're not promoting violence,
that we're spinning the narrative to, hey, man, go out and take your own justice. Take it from me. Take it from Flocko. It's not worth it. I lost 10 and a half years of my life behind that, and it didn't solve anything. All it did was add to the misery and add to the loss even more, because my emotions got the best of me. But I felt at the time, you know, in the heat of the moment, what would you do?
This is going to be
what would you do? And I did what I did.
You know, part 2 is going to be we're going to talk about that, man, because I think this is a topic that no one's ever touched upon. When we come back, not today, maybe in a week or 2, we'll see what kind of feedback we get. I think we need to touch base upon, as men, what can we do in these circumstances? I mean, what would be the ideal situation for us and how to react? Because I think a lot of men are going to struggle with it, man, and they don't know how to react. They don't know what they're supposed to do. And they're probably dealing with all kinds of emotions, from anger, rage, sadness to, you know what I mean, the unthinkable. So I think, you know, because what you went through, you know what I'm saying? What you gotta sit there and present solutions and what a man should really do, you know what I mean? And I don't want to elaborate anymore. I think I know where we're gonna go with that, but we'll leave it like this for today's topic.
That's right.
This is gonna be fun editing.